defensive wall we put around ourselves. Hi, and welcome. Hi, Jodie.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So today, Jodie has come in, and we're going to be filming a little bit of light touch ASMR. And in this one, we're going to be doing a little bit of whispering.
Got a little bit of a twist on this, haven't we?
A little bit of a twist as we go along, which Jodie doesn't really know yet. So we're going to see how it pans out. So to begin with, we're going to do a little bit of light touch just along the hands and fingers, and then along the arms. Now, last time I saw you didn't have these tattoos, did you? Is there any significance to 555?
Well, 555 is actually change, which has pretty much been the story of my life.
Change.
Which is the reason I got that one.
Okay. And then we've got another little tattoo there. What does it say?
Divine feminine.
Okay. And then we've got a little boot. And what was that for?
That's a cowboy boot.
Because you're a cowgirl.
Because I'm a cowgirl.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my spare time.
Genuinely.
No.
And then we've got a moon. I like that. You are the cow.
I'm just into country music.
Okay.
Country living. The slow, soft life.
Yeah. I've been watching the cowboy thing at a minute on Netflix. Really enjoying it. And then we've got a moon.
Crescent moon.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of my star sign, which is Pisces. Also a symbol of Aquarius star sign as well.
Wow. And then we've got the usual stars. You had these last time, I think, did we?
I didn't.
Did you not?
No, they're all new.
They're all new. So, okay, then what about these ones? You definitely had all these.
I had this, yeah.
What's this?
Rare.
Rare. Is that because you're rare?
Yes,
Like a diamond.
exactly.
And then this.
That I just liked there was a choice of all these different leaves, and I think that one stood out to me the most, so
Yeah.
that's what I went with.
And then, is that a rose?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Because again, you're like a rose.
And it's my favourite flower.
Yeah, okay. This.
Pisces symbol.
Very nice. Any on the inside?
Not on the inside.
No. We've got a very liney hand, haven't we? Did I tell you my story about lines on my hands?
Was it the monk?
Yeah, so when I was 18, I was training in chefs with a guy, and he looked at all these little lines on my hands one day, and he said, "Did you know you're probably a very old soul?" And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." He says, "Most people have got at least the main 5 lines." He says, "But then, for every lifetime that you've had, you develop lots of little lines. So each life. So therefore, if you've got lots of lines on your hands, like both me and you have, exactly, right, it means that you're quite an old soul, and that you've basically been here many, many times before. So if you like to just follow one soul." Thank you. So what we're going to do first is we're going to lightly trace along this meridian just here. Now this meridian just on the outside of your arm, but on the, obviously the inside, is your heart meridian. So by working that ever so gently, it helps to soothe your heart, calm, 'anxiety and just is the mind and the body. And then next to that one, we have the heart protector that goes pretty much down the centre, over the hand, over the palm, and to the second finger. And the heart protector, also known as the pericardium, does exactly what it says on the tin. It protects the heart. It's like the defensive wall we put around ourselves to protect our emotions. And then next, on the outer side of the arm, we have the lung meridian. Now this meridian, emotionally, is tied with grief, but also is linked with, like, whether you're the type of person that wants to be the centre of attention, or the type of person that wants to curl up in a ball and hide from the world. So by working this, it'll just help balance them out. Now, so like I said, the lung comes down this side, followed by the heart protector, followed by the heart. Now, do you want to do that on me? Can you remember?
Outside the heart.
That's it, outside the heart. And it goes to the inner side of the little finger.
So it comes from the outside of the arm and then slightly twists to the inside.
That's it. And it's good for calming down the spirit.
And can you do this on a daily basis?
Of course you can.
What would you recommend when you're just feeling a little bit out of balance?
You can do it on a daily basis. You can even linger over certain pressure points and gently massage them. I'll show you them in a minute.
So this is the heart protector.
The heart protector.
Which goes to the middle finger.
That's it. It goes to the tip of the middle finger. Exactly.
And would you work all three together, or would you focus on one in particular?
It depends what you're feeling. I think if you're doing light touch, you could do all three. If you were doing a treatment such as shiatsu to balance somebody out, you might only work one or two.
Yeah. And so this is the lung.
That's the lung.
And it goes to the thumb.
To the thumb.
The outside.
Yeah. Now, would you like to hear a story about when I once worked the heart meridian on a client? So, I was working down the heart meridian, and I began because something told me to work there. As I held a point on the head, I asked its spirit to show me where to work, and the spirit of this man appeared before me. But it wasn't a human. It was like a tree, but an ancient and old, gnarly looking tree with no leaves, just like a shriveled up old tree. And he said to me, work the heart meridian and I'll show you the way. So I went to the heart meridian and I started working, and I said, what do you want? And he said, I want you to children for many lifetimes, and it was making him sad. And he said what he needed to do was to go home and buy a piece of rose quartz, a flat piece. He needed to then place this on his partner's belly, just below the belly button. He says, and then put his hand on the rose quartz. He says, and imagine healing her. But don't worry, his spirit would take over and do all the healing. He just needed to be there. So then I thought afterwards, how would I tell my client this? But I told him anyway. And he said, well, that's interesting. He says, because in Japan, they believe that once a tree is over 100 years old, it develops its own spirit. So, so you're on board that you might be a tree spirit. And he said, I quite like the idea actually. So, he went home, he explained it to his girlfriend, who's a scientist. Now this couple, they've been struggling to have a baby, which I knew a little bit about, but not much. And anyway, they did the treatment, and they've got a healthy little girl now. Yeah. And the last time he came in for a treatment, I asked the spirit to show himself again, and this time he appeared, but he was like moving through a meadow, and as he moved, there were like green branches shooting from his spirit. Yeah, and there were like butterflies and stuff flying around him, and he looked happy.
Well, the meadow, believe it or not, I've had experiences with myself, and it is believed to be the astral realm.
I can believe that.
And if he's come back to you to show you that he's fulfilled in the meadow with full trees and with the butterflies, which do symbolise transformation, which fits the story.
Yeah, absolutely. But it then brings into thought what else is out there. And since then, I've seen others.
Whilst you've been working with clients.
Well, I've been working with clients, other types of spirits.
And do you think these spirits are linked to the people that you're working with?
Absolutely. It's their spirit that's showing their true self. And they're not all humanoid, which kind of brings up some interesting questions.
What kind of things have you seen?
Well, before I tell you, let me just work on this side of your arm. So here, we're working the large intestine, and it sort of cuts around, look. It goes to your first finger, so it goes from the crook of your elbow, crosses over the muscle. It comes to the bladder down there. Now this one here, your large intestine 4. People tend to use this in order to help with headaches and migraines. And then it comes down to large intestine 1. Then going more or less straight over the top, we've got triple heater, which again is an organ that in Western medicine doesn't really exist, but it's there to control your body temperature. There's a lot of things it works with. The fire meridian, like it's one of the fire meridians, and it works with small intestine. So you've got small intestine coming up, and this one goes more or less on the very edge of the bone, and it comes down the side, and again, triple heater. support that. So just work them gently. That's a big ring.
An interesting story behind that ring. My nan actually gave me the ring.
Okay.
And it was given to her by, I think it was my nan's auntie who lived in America for some years, and she brought it back with her. She's lived quite an interesting life. Well, both my nan and her auntie.
So, if you can remember where we've just worked.
So we've gone from crook of the elbow,
Yeah, all the way to this finger here.
cross over, and this is the small intestine.
No, the large
The large
intestine.
intestine. So really, when they are crossing like this, they're all interlinked.
Every meridian on the body is interlinked. So, going back to the spirits, I've seen a few different ones. So the one, and this lady, her spirit kind of represented itself as like a bit like how you'd see a Native American, I guess. She was more like a warrior type lady, strong, with tattoos, but she was also a changeling, could change into different animals at will, and her spirit had like a companion spirit of an animal that followed her wherever she went. But she was also lonely because not many people of her sort of spirit, I guess, exist. And she's not come across any of her tribe for a long time.
She's a lone traveller.
Yeah. Which kind of makes sense because she never managed to settle with like a man before. Even though she's had boyfriends, they'll very rarely last a few weeks or a few months. And it's because I think she hasn't found anyone yet that belongs to the same tribe.
Yes. Somebody that's on her level, on her soul level.
Yeah. And then there was another one, and these were quite interesting because she had two sides to her. And she was cat-like. So like, if you imagine a humanoid but with cat features, right? And where she came from, she was a high-powered diplomat and of someone of great importance. But she had another side that at first didn't want to show me. But she was also an assassin. Yeah. And there's been a couple of others. And it got me thinking, like, because up until this point, I presumed that all our spirits, pardon, be human. And obviously these are not human. And then I stumbled across Starseeds.
I love the topic of Starseeds.
So I started looking into starseeds, and for me that kind of explains a lot. Why
She
different?
might be wandering on her own too.
Yeah, because she's currently on the wrong planet, maybe. And likewise, why this lady who was a cat on her own planet? She was a hired diplomat and an assassin. Right now, she's on Earth, and I think that's the thing that there's that many planets out there, and there's likely that many races that when you're reborn, you're not always going to land on the same planet, but you might have a spirit of a certain planet and then be reborn somewhere else.
Yes, and I think sometimes we don't always remember our past lives or why we are here.
Yeah.
We just know we do.
Exactly that. Now, I did actually see my own spirit. And when I saw my own spirit, I said in my head, I swore and said something off, laughed, and I thought, I'm not having that for 1 minute. Can't be right. But then, that's looking at maybe what the sort of religious view of what my spirit looked like.
Okay.
Whereas I think if you look at the starseed, it makes perfect sense. Shall I explain it?
Yeah, tell me what context you saw yourself in.
I saw it in my mind's eye, and I knew it was me, and it spoke to me, but not with words. Couldn't speak with words, had no mouth.
Yeah.
Right. But it spoke telepathically to me, basically saying I was on the correct path. Right, and it explained, and I knew it was me straight away, but it was of light, and it had wings.
Yes. Yeah.
And my first thought was, that looks like an angel. And I thought, you can fuck off, I'm not an angel. Right, but then when I started looking into it, there is these species of lights that come from light. I think they call them just a light seed. And they have no known planet as such, and they can pop up anywhere in the universe. And their goal is to basically awaken other starseeds and also move humanity on in a positive, healing way. And people of that nature are normally drawn to like the healing arts. So it kind of makes sense that is me.
Because of the profession that you are in.
Exactly. So, many people come and they'll only ever see the physical side of what a treatment can do. Like, they'll see the fact that it can help the shoulder, or it might help the lower back. But what really happens is that every treatment ripples through time and has an effect. Now, what effect that might have might happen in a couple of weeks, might be months, or it might not even be that lifetime. But every treatment ripples through their life, causing some kind of effect.
I think it also will have a different effect on people, whether they are a believer and whether they do hold any sort of spiritual beliefs too, or any other beliefs that are contrary to
when she first came to me, all she was interested in was the physical of training, the physical of how her body is keeping herself healthy. Now, over time, she started looking into meditation, wellness, and then boom, one day, she had a full Kundalini awakening, and now she views the world with totally different eyes.
But everything leading up to her meeting you happened for a reason.
Absolutely.
She was meant to see you. Her purpose came from coming to see you, meeting you.
Yeah.
I've actually got an interesting story myself. I will say it's a dream, just to save really delving into it and explaining it. But I think you can tell the difference between a regular dream and something that is speaking to you. And this will always stand out to me, and I think it is probably one of my most significant experiences. And I was in just black space. There was nothing around. And I was almost like floating in nothing in this black space. And all there was a set of stairs, but like an L-shaped set of stairs with a door right at the top. And as I was making my way up the stairs, I turned on the corner of the L shape, went up a couple more steps, and then I reached almost like a gap, and I couldn't figure out how I was going to get from the step that I was on to the next one. And then when I looked up again, there was a male energy there. I couldn't see a face. I couldn't see any features that would indicate whether I knew this man or not in the physical world. But I know that his energy just felt really familiar, as if I'd known him for years. And he reached his hand down to me, held onto my hand and pulled me up to the step. And we both went through the door together. And I don't know where it led, because it stopped there. I just went through the door, closed the door and woke up. And I've always took that as a spiritual elevation, or a message that no matter what hurdles or crossroads I come at in life, I will always have that spirit guide to assist me through them. So I've always remembered that. I will never forget it. But I find it interesting that people can have these experiences, and I know I'm not the only one, because I have spoken to other people that have had experiences alike, not the same as mine, but where they've been in a different realm, and it has
Which then, in between filming, he started telling me about these meadows that happen when you do something similar to what we're doing Shiatsu, or what you do in Qigong. Where in Qigong what you do is point on your feet, kidney 1, and you imagine that roots grow out of kidney 1 and that they go deep into the earth, and you keep growing these roots and you draw the energy from the earth. Then you do something similar with the top of your head where you connect to the universe and you draw the universe energy down. So you're connecting earth energy and you're connecting heavenly energy in order to improve health, maximize energy. You can be using for lots of different things, but you've just described to me something very similar that you did in spiritual church. Do you want to just quickly explain that to me?
So, I used to visit a spiritualist church. I've been to a couple of different ones, but this one in particular was spiritual practices to help you align and control and be a bit more in tune with yourself. And one of the practices was to ground and to safely protect your energy to then open your third eye. And so, just as you've described, you imagine the energy or a light. Everybody's is different, but mine is the energy starting from my head, working its way down through all of my body to my feet, which then goes into the earth, works its way through all the layers of the earth, right down to the core of the earth, which I personally picture as like the hot molten lava, which then comes right back up through all the layers of the earth again, through the bottom of my feet, and then works its way through my body again, up to my third eye, at which point I am in a meadow, which is all hills, green grass, sunshine, butterflies, and there's always always the same every time, is this big tree to my left, which hangs over a stream. And then as I'm looking out in front of me, what happens is your spirit guide is supposed to meet you. And there's always, for me, my experiences are always a male energy. I've never had a female energy in any of my spiritual experiences. But they're not always the same. Now, as I say, your spirit guide is usually the one that meets you there, and it could be anybody, it could be in any shape, in any form, whether it's a person or an animal, somebody that you know or somebody that you don't know. But again, mine is a familiar male energy, and it's the same thing every time we meet. I sort of cut my head to the side, as if it's that sweet recognition. He does the same, and we walk towards each other, meet each other, give each other a hug, and then I come back down with my third eye open, having brought him with me for protection and for guidance.
Nice. Yeah, I think you're right that you can get different spirit guides the first one that I remember was actually my granddad. But I didn't know my granddad until like a couple of years later when I saw a photo. And I was like, oh, that's the man who appears to me in my dreams sometimes. And he speaks to me. And I remember when I told my mum that, she broke down in tears and cried. Because she was like, well, that's my dad. And he died when she was 17. So I never met him. But weirdly now, if you ask my mum about that, she can't even recall it. She can't recall me having the dreams. And she can't recall breaking down in tears. Very strange. And then at one point, I heard like a shaman appear to me to teach me about, I guess, nature, about magic, I guess, and healing. And then I've had my sister appear to me. She appeared a couple of times, normally to laugh at me about something. And then there were a lady once that appeared. I don't know who she was. She wore like a Victorian dress. She caught me, strangely, when I was falling once from the top of the steps. Placed me at the bottom of the steps. Which was very strange.
Jeez.
And then I once had a weird one where I met Odin.
You met a what?
Odin.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what Odin is?
No?
So Odin is the All-Father. He's a god.
Oh,
He's the Norse god. The god of, he's the father of Thor. Do you know Thor?
yeah.
He's the father of him. And I was poorly with kidney stones. And I do hallucinate when I'm poorly, so it could have been an hallucination.
Interesting.
And anyway, this particular day, I'd not moved all day, I'd been in too much pain. Gets to night time. And I was walking by an almighty crash and bang of thunder and lightning. And then I looked, and at the end of the bed was Odin with his one eye and his spear. And he said to me that he's my father, but not as in like, I'm your actual dad, as in, you know, like I'm God, I'm the All-Father.
Yeah.
He said me, he's the All-Father, I'll take your pain away. Anyway, I thought I was hallucinating, so I went back to sleep, ignored it. Next day, I couldn't move for the pain still. And we were in London at the time. Spent all day on the sofa in agony. And then that night, went to bed. Again, I was sweating, I was in a lot of pain. Bang, thunderstorm. Boom, he appears at the end of the bed. This time, I said, oh, you've come to us. Please take my pain away. The next morning, I woke up, no pain. I felt that good. I went downstairs, I put my trainers on, and I ran to Hampton Court Palace.
No way.
Before everyone else got up for breakfast. How wild is that?
Seems like a miracle.
It surely took the pain away. So yeah, I agree, there is different spirit guides that appear at different times.
And I think for different purposes too.
Yeah. So, let's just finish this session by maybe closing his eyes and taking a few deep breaths just to sort of